Welcome to Cook with me. Today we are making bacon Parmesan spaghetti squash. So I have my recipe right here in front of me. It will be posted if you would like to print it out as well. So I'm just going to be following that. Some things you're going to need are a spaghetti squash, and if it's hard to remember, it's the yellow one, or it says on the sticker that it is a spaghetti squash. So you just want to double check and make sure that it says spaghetti squash. Of course, like the title entails, you're going to need some Parmesan. I used a ½ cup already pre-measured, and I just put in this nice little bowl here. You're also going to need a ½ cup or a ¼ cup of bacon, depending on what your taste buds are and what your family likes. You're also going to need a ½ cup of butter, which we're going to melt. And as an option, you can use some diced onion. So I just took a plain old onion and I just diced it up. And then you're just gonna need some parchment paper, a wooden spoon, some tongs to help saute our squash to make it a little easier because it is a lot finer and thinner than regular pasta. You're gonna need a big old knife and just a big fork just to help with getting the squash all raked and open, of course. And then I've also have just some bowls and some containers ready just to scoop out any seeds or just to put the squash in afterwards once we get it all raked. So I'm gonna start with opening our squash. And you can see here, I kind of started with taking the fork and just poking some holes in it first. And then I went with the knife and I cut alongside because it is, depending on how ripe it is, it's pretty tough. So I went and I just made some little holes with the fork and I went and cut along it. I went the length of it. And then when you get to the stem, you can't cut through the stem. It's too hard. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of bring it to the side and wrap it around. So I've already started some holes to make it easier and I'm going to continue them. So you're just going to want to push it in really hard. And if you're doing this part with kids, just please be careful because it can come back up, it can slip, it can get jabbed in somebody's hand or finger. So just be very, very cautious. Alrighty, and then I'm taking my knife and I'm going across the line. And of course, I'm not going to hold it in my hand. I'm going to put it on the cutting board. So we're just going, using the little holes that we just made with the fork to kind of help cut. Alrighty, there we go. So that is the inside of our squash, and of course we have the seeds. And if anybody saw my oobleck with the pumpkin seeds, they kind of look like pumpkin seeds, but they're squash seeds. So I'm just gonna take, just a metal bowl and a spoon, and I'm just gonna take out these seeds. So you're just gonna wanna scoop it right in there. There we go. And one more. Ooh, kind of getting stuck. These seeds just don't want to come out. Alrighty, almost got them out. And I'm just going to pull that. There we go. So I'm just going to get these seeds out of the way here. what you're going to do next is you're going to take your parchment paper and you're just going to pull out a big old sheet. But I already did that ahead of time. Just going to plop to the side here. So I have my baking sheet already set up with the parchment paper on top. So what you're going to do is I'm going to move my knife and my fork out of the way. And we're going to put them with the shell facing up. But we're also going to add some oil. So I'm just taking my oil from the kitchen and you're just going to drizzle it. All right, let's get that lid back on. And we're going to add some salt and some pepper. All right, there's the salt. And the pepper. And then now you're going to put the shell facing up. And there we go. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put it in the oven and bake at 350 degrees. So I'm going to plop this in the oven. And I already made one ahead of time. So I'm going to take that out now. And when you bake it, you're going to bake it for 40 minutes. Alrighty. Now that we got that out, you can kind of see it's a little hot. I don't know if you guys can see the steam there, but that's what it'll look like on the inside. It's a lot more squishier now than it was, because before it was really firm. Now you can kind of squish it. And so if you can kind of see here on this one, it does have the sticker on. So when I was washing it, I could not get the sticker off, but that's okay because we're not going to be using the outer shell part. So it doesn't interfere with any of the cooking, I promise. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your big old fork again, and you're going to just go along the sides, all around, just press it right into the side there, kind of near the skin. And then I'm gonna take my bowl here, and you're just gonna rake it down and right into the bowl there. Just gonna turn it to this side quickly because it did kind of break, but that's okay. Just wanna make sure you get all of it in there. Whoop. As you can see, it's kind of a bit more flimsy and squishy now than it was before. Alrighty, there's one. And because I am bringing this to the early on with me after, I'm gonna go right ahead and scrape the other one. So just again, going right along the skin, poking some holes. Alrighty, and again, just going and raking it in all different directions. Whoop. Almost dropped it. Alrighty, there we go. So we have our little spaghetti from the squash, all nice in the bowl. I'm gonna put it aside, and now we are going to get our onions again, and this is when we're going to saute them. And of course, as you guys can see, just another little quick side note, you do just want to be very gentle because it's hot and it's very flimsy, like it'll break easily now because it was cooked. So just be careful with that because of course the squash can fall when you're raking it, like I almost dropped it, so just please be careful. Alrighty. Now for this part, I'm just gonna move you guys just a little bit so that you can see where I am sauteing our nice onions, and I'm going to move just all the things we need just over here quickly. So I'm bringing the spaghetti squash that we just raked, our diced onions that I'm going to be using, our butter, of course some Parmesan, and the bacon. Oh, and our tongs and the spoon. Alrighty. So what you're going to do here is you're just going to take your frying pan and on a medium setting. So the way my oven works is I have a min and I have a max, and it goes up by 2. So I'm going to put mine in the middle. I'm going to put it about a 6. But it all depends on your oven and what your middle heat is. Of course, you guys know your oven, not your oven, your oven better than I do. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna take this off. And we are going to add our butter. So you just wanna go and get that scooped in. I usually like to drag it around like right at the beginning so it gets just very slippery and it's easier to move. And when you're doing this part, you can put the oven just a little bit higher, or the stove a little higher, just so that the butter melts a little quicker. So I'm gonna move it from a 6 to an 8. And then I'm going to add our onions. So just plop it right in. Oh. And if any gets stuck to the top like mine did, just grab that same spatula that you used to take the butter out and just flick them on in. Alrighty, now I am going to be adding the spaghetti squash in just a moment. But I'm just going to move this around a bit first, just so it gets a bit sauteed. Alright, looking good. Our onions looking all buttered up. Alrighty. Oh, almost forgot the bacon. You want to put the bacon in before the spaghetti squash. Now, for people who have cooked with bacon before, I'm just going to turn this up a little more. Obviously, when you cook bacon, it gets really oily, all the oils from the bacon. That's fine in this case because it's just going to add a lot of flavor to it, which I don't know about you guys, but I don't mind a lot of bacon flavor because bacon's one of my favorite things. So I am very, very fine with this being really bacon flavored. Alrighty, looks good. You can kind of see the oil from it. Very nice. So you just want to give this 5 minutes or so on medium heat to saute or to cook. For the sake of the live purpose, I have it a little bit higher on the stove setting, so it's going to go a little quicker, just so I can get this done and I can show you guys the end result. So I'm just going, I mix that around, so now I'm going to go and take the wooden spoon. And I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna keep sauteing it. Now when you do this, you'll see that you're getting a lot of kind of grease bubbles, and that's fine. That's the grease from the bacon along with all of the butter that we are using. So if you see that, don't worry, it's a-okay. Alrighty, give it a few more seconds and then we are good to add the squash. Oh, it smells so good, friends. I wish you could smell this. I mean, you will smell this if you try it. But it smells really, really, really good. All right, that should be good. So I'm going to add the onions now. I'm also going to bring this back down to an 8. All right, so now we're going to add the squash. And because it's already cooked, we're not going to do this very long. It's already cooked. It's just to get the flavors all mixed together. So we're going to plop that right in. And I'm going to take my tongs. And instead of mixing it around, you kind of want to lift and turn. And that's why it's a lot easier to do it with the tongs, because then you don't have to worry about it breaking or falling apart. So I'm just going to keep turning it. And at this point, I'm just going to leave it for 1 second. You can add different things here to make it a bit more flavorful. So you can add parsley flakes, you can add garlic powder, or you can add onion flakes. I'm not going to be adding the onion flakes because we already added a whole onion. But I will be adding the parsley flakes and the garlic powder just because it's going to add a lot more flavor to the spaghetti squash along with the bacon and the onions and the butter, of course. So I'm just going to flip this around a few more times before I add those ingredients. I'm also going to lower this just a bit more because, like I mentioned, it's already cooked. So we're not going to cook it anymore. We just want to get the flavors all in it. Alrighty, so I'm going to add just a pinch of parsley because me and my family grew this in our garden. So it's really strong and has like a very strong scent and a strong flavor. So I'm just adding a bit of it. If you do get it from the grocery store, it might be a bit hydrated, so you can probably add more than just a small pinch, because it won't be as strong as a flavor. So just quickly again going and turning it, mixing all the flavors together. Alrighty, give that a break. Gonna add some garlic powder, garlic powder. Just taking a pinch and sprinkling it on top. And just mixing it once again before adding our final ingredient, which of course is the Parmesan, because then it wouldn't be bacon Parmesan spaghetti squash without the Parmesan. Alrighty, so I'm scooping that. And now I am going to add the Parmesan, and I'm just going to lower it just a bit more because it is cooking a little fast. So I am just taking a bit of it and I'm adding it. And you want to do this part slowly. So just sprinkling it on top. And I'm not using the entire cup at this moment because I'm going to save some of it, at the end to just garnish on top of it. So again, with our tongs, and just mixing that around as the final step. Oh my goodness, friends, this smells so good. Alrighty, almost done. Alright, there we go. gonna shut this off now because we don't need it anymore because our sauteing is done. Okay, slip in there, there we go. Just gonna give it a few more, just quick little turnovers. Perfect, so now I have just a serving dish over here to the side that I'm going to just pour it into. So I'm gonna use the tongs again, just in case. And I'm gonna move you guys one more time, I promise, just so you can see. So I'm taking the pan and I'm just pouring it in. There we go, and I'm gonna put this to the side here. And then just like I said, I didn't use all the Parmesan cheese because I'm going to be adding it just on top as a nice little garnish. Because let's be real, from one Italian to another, what's pasta without a little Parmesan cheese on it? And there we go. Mwah. Perfect. So I got in my little serving dish, and I'm just going to plop our sealed lid right on top. Whatever wants to go on. There we go. And there we go, and now it's ready to serve. I would love to try a bite on camera, but I don't want to be rude to my friends at the early on, so I'm gonna wait till I get there with my friends to try this out with everybody. Alrighty, just gonna put that off to the side, just behind you guys. And of course, while you're cooking, some other options you can add are mushrooms or roasted red peppers, whatever your family's taste buds and your family's preferences are, because you guys know your family a lot better than I do. So just attend to your family's taste buds and their flavors. So I hope you have fun trying this out and you have fun making this recipe. It was great cooking with you guys. And don't forget, next Tuesday we have Miss Jennifer doing our Cook With Me. So have fun, guys, and have a great day. Bye. Happy cooking.